You know, Ross, the most impacting was actually my birth, uh, May 22nd, 1928. That my mother had been in labor for a long time. I don't know exactly how long, but the doctor called my father in and went in the room. He said, and this is the way my father explained it to me. Went in this room and there was a large book on the table. My dad thought it was a Bible. He said when he walked in the room, it wasn't. It was a medical book. But he came in and sat down with my dad, and he said, "Tom," he said, "that Grace is she's not going to be able to deliver this baby." So he said, "We're down to really a tough decision." He said, "You're going to have to decide who survives, your wife or the baby." And my dad said, said we can't do that. And the doctor was Dr. Wallace, and I have a story on him that I want to tell in just a second. But anyway, Wallace took my dad over to the book and said, "This is what I'm faced with." He said, "You're telling me that I've got to deliver this baby. It'll have to be cesarean." And he said, "I've never seen a cesarean birth." And he said, I've got a page and a half in this medical book." And he said, "Tom, I want you to read that." And my dad sat down and read the page and a half. He had one picture, my dad said. And when he got through, well, he said, "You see what our situation is?" He said, "I have no experience with it. I've never seen a cesarean." And he said, and this is where we are." My dad said, "But you're not that far from that baby." And he said, you've got to do it." And my dad talked him into doing it, I think. But Wallace had one thing going for him, that he was not a GP, he was a surgeon. And he and his brother had bought the Holdenville Hospital, and he only lived in Holdenville, I think, 2 or 3 years, short period of time. And this came up while Wallace, the surgeon, was living there in Holdenville. So I think if it had been his brother who was a GP, I would have. I don't believe he would have tried it. But my dad talked the doctor into doing it, and my dad said before they left the room they both prayed, and my dad said he walked out and sat down in the waiting room, and I asked him more than one time, because we talked about this several times. I said, "How long were you there before the doctor came out of the room where the medical book was?" And he said, "I don't know." He said it could have been 5 minutes, and he said it could have been 45 minutes. But he said it wasn't an hour. He said, "I don't think it was as long as an hour." And he said he came by him, didn't say anything to him, went in and delivered me, thank God. And so, when I say I start to tell the first story of Holdenville, it's got to be how lucky I was to be around, and also what a debt I owe to my father for having, the guts just to talk the doctor into doing the cesarean. And there wasn't a cesarean at Holdenville General Hospital, I don't think, for 25 or 30 years after that. So it was a big deal, of course. I mean, I'm here.